Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Great to see everybody coming in today. We're going to have a super great time today talking to all y'all. And I'm here with Bob Regnerus and Scott Schang. My name is Perry Marshall. Bob and I are in Chicago, and Scott is in Denver.
I am in Denver, and we get a little snow today.
Oh, and we are talking about what's up in the last nanosecond with AI.
We,
And Bob,
we were actually chatting about the nefarious things we could possibly do with AI because
yes,
we're
we
not
were.
nefarious people, but we just realized that we're working too hard.
And we were all texting an hour ago, and we all agreed that we were going to talk about something, but none of us shared with the others what we were going to talk about. And we're all very curious to see if it overlaps or not. And so we're playing that game. So, Bob, what's
Yeah.
going to happen? Hello, everybody in the chat box. Hello, Lori and Taylor and Todd and Ted and a whole bunch of fun people. Good to
Yeah, a
see you
bunch
guys.
of great people. Good to see you all. Yeah, apologies, Perry, to your promotion team. I don't follow rules very, very well. So I know there's like a standard webinar that we want to do, but I like free form conversation. So that's the way we're going to go with this. And I think it's going to be fascinating. And we've got yeah, a lot of people on a Friday afternoon. So that is really, really awesome. So
Happy Friday.
yeah, if you'll all just kind of sit back, this is going to be a fun conversation. Whenever Perry and I go to breakfast, which I do have to ask you about breakfast, Perry, because I wrote an email about you eating breakfast today. Or like tonight when we go out for a drink, like the conversation is heavy, and Scott and I talk 2, 3 times a week, and the conversation isn't light, it's heavy. So we're just going to turn the camera on because that's what people like to do. They like to watch other people talk. Um, Perry, I talked today about a show in the UK. It's called Gogglebot, and it's a show about people watching television shows. Literally, the cameras are watching people on the couch talk about television shows. So I thought I saw everything until I saw that. And it's like the most popular show in the UK.
And Joe Share says, Gogglebox is brilliant. I
Okay.
guess
Well, Joe, yeah. Joe, I apologize. Like I was in the UK, but I had such a tight schedule. There's so many people that I wanted to see. So the next time I get out to the UK, I'm having drinks with Joe. I'm seeing some of my other UK friends. It's going to absolutely happen. So Joe, it knows exactly what we're talking about. That's awesome. So yeah, we're going to talk about AI today. And you may know me, you may know Perry, you may not know Scott. After you hear Scott talk, you're going to say, I wish, or I'm glad I know Scott now. All three of us, of course, are going to be at the AI seminar. It's April 16, 17, 18 in Chicago. I'm already seeing, Perry, it's going to be a beautiful weather experience because whenever there's a Perry Marshall event, the weather is always fantastic, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Um, that's a little bit of a joke, but that's okay. It's late on a Friday. We'll get into this a little bit. Maybe we should have done this with bourbon or something, Perry. That maybe we could have loosened ourselves up a little bit more.
Well, we had you know what, I'll show you something. We had two seminars in Hawaii, and both seminars were preceded by a tsunami. So let me show you something. So this is my bourbon shelf.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost never drink any of it. I'm not really a drinker, not much anyway, but every now and then. So when so we have this thing called bourbon night. So you see these speakers. I have a house full of speakers. Um, People come over and we play music and drink bourbon, and that's the extent of my drinking. But that's a lot of fun. So I don't know. Maybe I should have grabbed one of those bourbons. I could put it on here at least just for show.
Yeah, this is iced coffee, so don't let people think that I'm drinking. So
And this
I
is
want to start off I want to start off with a question. That's what I do. I'm the question guy. I come up with curiosity-based questions. So I just chatted this question out to Perry and Scott literally an hour ago, and I'm really interested to see what Perry's answer is, what Scott's answer is, and then maybe you're interested to hear my answer. So Perry, since we're using your hosting equipment, I'll let you answer first, and then we'll have Scott. All right. What implication or result of AI is right in front of our noses, yet we're totally ignoring it right now? That's the question we're going to start out with.
So I want to ask everybody listening, how many of you have a body of work? And what I mean by a body of work is books, newsletters, presentations, expertise, customer support tickets, a deep domain knowledge about something, anything, and it's the way you do it, and it's your particular take on it. If you have that, it's like it's in your hard drive, or it's in YouTube, or it's in wherever it is, a bunch of MP3 files, or folders or notebooks, put a yes in the chat box. Yes, I have a body of work.
Good. A lot of
I see a
people.
whole bunch of those.
Mm.
Okay, I do. And the opportunity that nobody is realizing is the ability to turn your body of work into a moat around your castle. So most of you know me, and I've been doing this for 20 years, almost 25. And I have 22 years of newsletters, and 90% of that is collecting dust on a hard drive. Right?
Yeah.
Who's going to buy the Perry Marshall set of 2011 newsletters? Like, why would anybody ever do that? And up until now, there really wasn't much I could do with that was useful. Maybe I could put it on my website. Maybe it could be SEO stuff. I don't know. There'd be a moderate amount of value of something like that. But in the last 2 weeks, we have gotten 22 years of material loaded into a private server running on a large language model, and you can sit there and you can type and you can ask it questions, and it will pull needles out of haystacks from, well, okay, I'll give you an example. My daughter Tiana is 27. When she was 6, I told her I was going to take her to China. And then I thought, I really don't know if a 6-year-old is going to appreciate China. I don't really know if she's even going to like actual Chinese food, because she's eating macaroni and cheese mostly right now. And I said, hey, Tana, what would you think about a trip to Kittyland? And she goes, I'd love to go to Kittyland. And I said, what if instead of going to China, I took you to Kittyland? Now, that's an amusement park that's like 5 miles away from my house. She goes, well, so I remember the story, but when I asked my chatbot this story, it included a detail I had completely, totally forgotten, which was when I asked her, what if I take you to Kittyland instead of China? She said, can I go without my brothers? And I said, yes. And she goes, okay. And so instead of spending $1,500 on a plane ticket to China, taking a girl to eat Chinese food that she's not going to eat, and she's not going to appreciate what she's experiencing halfway around the world, she was thrilled to go spend a Saturday at Kittyland, which cost me $35. And then I took her to China 2 years later. Well, that story's in the Perry chatbot, and we're beta testing it. It's not public yet. I think it could be super useful for our members, but let's talk about moats. So I've got a client named Finn Peacock. He owns solarquotes.com.au. It's a big solar quote, solar installation site in Australia, and they connect people to solar installers. And they have loaded all of their customer support history and all of their knowledge base into a private chatbot. And when customer support tickets come in, it goes to the chatbot produces an answer, and then a person looks at the answer and either approves it or disapproves it and fixes it. And then they go fix the database so that it doesn't produce a bad answer anymore. It gets better and better. Their chatbot right now is 10 times better than anything you could get from GPT or Google Gemini or any of them, because all of those are trained on the entire internet, which is full of garbage. And Finn's is trained on what he and his staff know. And every single day, since we're in early days of AI, they're training their bot. I'm going to make a prediction. Neither Google nor Microsoft nor ChatGPT nor Anthropic or anybody else is ever going to have a better solar power installation knowledge base than Finn. And it is already self-reinforcing itself better and better and better. Every day it gets better. Every day they get that much better than ChatGPT or the internet. Every day. And it's just like Uber. Riders attract drivers, which lowers the wait time, which attracts riders, which attracts drivers, which lowers the wait time. And that is the moat around Uber's business. If you have a body of work that is unique and better than the average internet, or even better than the above average internet for some particular, I mean, I don't care if it's Vietnamese potbelly pigs.
Yeah.
You can own the best Vietnamese potbelly pig AI engine in the world, and it is yours. I don't hear anybody talking about this. And it doesn't apply to everybody. Not everybody has a body of work like this, but a lot of my customers do. And the ChatGPT has an even worse problem, and Google has an even worse problem, which is people are doing search engine optimization by regurgitating AI information and turning mediocrity into an echo chamber that is just making the internet worse and worse, which makes your private machine even better.
Mm-hmm.
And we are headed into a crisis of trust because of deep fakes and all of the problems I just said. That is a massive. So the people who are ahead of the curve, it's not that hard to be ahead of the curve right now. Just like 20 years ago, it wasn't that hard to be ahead of the curve on Google ads and stuff like that. And 15 years ago, it wasn't that hard to be ahead of the curve on Facebook ads. Right, Bob?
Right.
You got a window. And if you have a body of work, stuff you made in 2011 might have a whole set of value that it did not have 6 months ago. That's my answer.
Love it. There's a couple questions that came up, but this is why you want to know Scott. Scott, You want to tell about a couple of the projects you're working on that are directly related to what Perry just talked about?
Yeah. No, I just completed a project very similar to what Perry was describing. It was a gentleman with 30 years worth of experience. He had private coaching calls and seminars, and he wrote a book. And we didn't use a private LLM. We used a custom private GPT on Chat GPT, and we uploaded over 3,600 pages that contained over 1,072,000 words on everything that he's created for the last 30 years. And he's selling it as his business brain, right? Pay a one-time fee and then you get unlimited access to my business brain. And what was so funny when we were going through it is he kept being blown away by the answers. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you telling me that you're impressed by yourself still after all these days? But he said, it was funny, Perry, he said the exact same thing that you just said. It was telling him stuff that he forgot he used to teach. And he was like this thing is reminding me of all the stuff that I've even forgotten about my body of work. So yeah, that is I think that's one of the more powerful uses for AI. And I think that comes down to also understanding what this is. We throw this word around AI, but we're really talking about a lot of different things, right? We're talking about saying AI is kind of like saying, I need a Kleenex, right? So it's like, no, it's a facial tissue or a Q-tip or something like that. AI is turned into this thing, and everybody thinks that they want this thing. They want to go to the store. I want to buy an AI because I heard an AI is going to help me and it's going to help my business. But I think that's the biggest challenge that I think that most of the people that I'm talking to is they don't quite have their head wrapped around what it can do. And at the end of the day, this thing that we're talking about is a computer algorithm that can crunch massive amounts of data and look for patterns. And then it can communicate to you in a natural language so that it feels like the computer is having a conversation with you as a normal human being. And that kind of goes to your question, Bob. And I had a couple of different answers to it, but the first thing that I think you're going to find is it's going to force humanity to do more critical thinking, because the
Yes.
way that you engage with this database, the way you engage with the world's information, it teaches you how to ask better questions and how to phrase your questions in a better way. You basically get instant feedback on it. The other thing that it's forcing us to do is it is a delegation amplifier, right? Like everything you would use AI for right now is something that you want to delegate and you want to take off of somebody's plate. You still need a person to manage the process, but it's about most of this is delegation. And that's one of the biggest challenges that, companies under $5 million a year have is entrepreneurs letting go. And I think this is going to force a lot of entrepreneurs that are control freaks, like the desire and the outcome, the result of you investing in this technology to streamline your business and provide a better experience for your clients or your employees is going to force you to delegate and force you to be more concise in your in the way that you delegate. And I think that's underestimated. So many people I think they don't know how to delegate, and that's why they end up running around like crazy people, wearing 17 different hats, just putting out fires all day. So I think it's going to change I think it's going to force people to change their behavior around decision making and delegation.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I'm going to give my answer in a minute, but there's a couple things that I want to highlight from what Perry and Scott talked about. If you don't know Scott, Scott is the one that you want to talk to figure this out. If you're trying to figure out AI, whatever that means, Scott's the guy that can figure it out. Just hands down. Scott's taking concepts that are kind of conceptual and breaking them down into doing actual work and getting actual real results out of AI on a consistent basis. Scott just did a program with Perry. I think there was over 150 people in that program, if I'm not mistaken, Perry. And they're getting amazing results because Scott is actually helping them take conceptual ideas and turn them into tangible things. That's Scott's gift. He's amazing at it.
I would build on that also, Bob. I'm not a programmer.
You're going to build on what I just bragged on you?
No, I'm just going to say, I wanted to comment on my approach to this because so many people that are in this space right now, they understand how the sausage is made. And they talk about the coding and the prompting and the language and all this stuff. I don't understand any of that. To me, this is all just still magic. This is just like it's a magic trick. I go to the browser, I use it the way that it's intended, and I don't understand how it works. I don't need to understand how it works, but I'm figuring out how to use it from just a normal layman's perspective. I no programming experience required.
No advanced degrees,
No.
no special skills, just insatiable curiosity
Yes.
and time to figure shit out. That's Scott.
Yep.
Cool. So Perry, building these bots, and I don't want to just narrow this just to this, but what you are talking about is trust.
Yes.
People are inherently understanding that going to Google and trying to figure out how to get answers to your question is becoming increasingly difficult, and they distrust what they see. The thing that excites me is that people will actually build tools where you can ask human-based questions, the way you would ask a question of an expert, and get an answer that you could trust. That's what Finn is building. That's what you're building. That's what Scott's Klein is building, is a place where you can go ask a question and trust the answer. We know how much trust is just like, we know that when we go to Google that most of what we are pulling back is bullshit. That's just the way it is, right? We don't trust what we get. So that to me is very exciting. And I love the way you put it, Perry, is like, this could actually be a moat. Like, yes, information is becoming a commodity, but the fact that you have trustworthy information actually creates an advantage for you. So that's awesome. And Scott, you said something that I want you to spend a couple minutes on before I give my answer, which is LLMs are nothing more than a pattern recognition system. Perry has talked about AI is not awake. It doesn't have consciousness, but it is an amazing pattern recognition tool. Can you explain the implications or what that really is?
As I understand it, all of our people that actually understand this are going to be like, Scott, you idiot.
Scott,
But from what I understand, the internet is keyword driven, right? You type in keywords and Google pulls back articles that have that keyword in it, whether it was the system was gamed or whatever. What this algorithm does is it's a contextual search. So it scans the body of work. First of all, it tries to understand what your intent is, and that's where the critical thinking part comes in, is you have to be able to elaborate on what your intent is. Then it looks for context within the body of work, and then it comes back and it gives you the answer within the context of what it thinks you're asking for based on the information it found in the data. So that's the difference, is Google is retrieving a stack of books and says your answer is in there somewhere. These LLMs are saying, I think this is the answer to your question based on the information I've reviewed. It's more observational than retrieval.
So when things are created, it is the appearance of creation, but it is replicating a pattern that has already existed in nature. So Midjourney and DALL-E and even these new video things, they're not really creating anything new. They are representing a pattern that has been programmed into the algorithm. And it's exceptional because it can process so quickly, it appears creative because it can pull all these things, millions and millions of bits of data in microseconds to make something look like it's new. So I think that's the way I come into the understanding of it. And I think what you explained, Scott, is really critical. I want to answer my own question, which is what's right underneath our noses that we haven't realized about AI? I spent 2 weeks in Europe, 2 weeks in London, but I did spend a day in Paris. Just got back a few days ago. One day, I'm walking through the Louvre. The next day, I'm walking through Westminster Abbey. The next day, I'm walking through Harry Potter studios. I was immersed in creativity. Here is what I believe AI is going to do, and I think it's probably the most exciting application of AI that could ever exist. And that is that Perry, you have used the term New Renaissance for the longest time, but standing, looking at the Mona Lisa, actually the wedding at Cana behind the Mona Lisa is way more impressive to me than the Mona Lisa. Just I don't know if anyone feels the same way. Mona Lisa is this big.
Yeah.
Wedding at Cana it takes up the whole fucking wall. It's like, oh my, it's like what? But here's what excites me is that we've gotten so busy as humans that we don't really take time to be creative. I believe that within the next 10 years, that for those people that embrace AI, it is going to free up time for them to unleash their creativity.
Yes.
And they're going to be able to interact with AI in a way where we are going to create new things that absolutely blow away what was done during the Renaissance. That to me is one of the most exciting things that could happen from this, is that it frees humans to be what they're supposed to be. We are called human beings and not human doings. So, you might have heard me talk at last year's AI summit, and I didn't really talk about AI at all. You're probably not going to hear me talking about it again, because I am going to dive into the concept of authenticity and what does it really mean to be a human being versus a human doing. If we can take some of what we are doing and let machines do it better than we could do it, it should free us up to do things that we are meant to do, which is be ultimate creators on this planet. That was my answer, guys. I don't know what you think about that.
And it's not going to happen if you lose your humanity. It's going to happen if you focus on your humanity, because that's where that creative source comes from. And so, like, you can become a dehumanized iPhone slave on the internet, and you just have your attention smeared from here to Timbuktu, or you can have it working for you, and you can spend hours of your day not on a screen, not on electronics, not on a phone, and maybe you're going to the Louvre, and maybe you're going to the park, maybe you're having lunch with a friend, or maybe you're listening to the world's best music. You know what it's kind of like? It's like when I moved to Chicago from Lincoln, Nebraska, when I was out of college, I was like, wow, this is an amazing city. Like, any music you could ever want, any play that you could ever want. We have the best buildings. We have this beautiful skyline. We have the lake. We've got and all this fantastic ethnic food. And we also got problems. We got crime, and we got traffic, and we got congestion. And what I noticed at age 23 was most people get all the bad stuff and none of the good stuff. They're in traffic every day. They've never been to the Hancock building. They've never been to the Sears Tower. They've never eaten at the nicer restaurants. and they're chugging down exhaust fumes in their car every morning, driving on the tollway. And I thought, I want to make sure I have a life where I enjoy the good stuff in Chicago and not the crappy stuff. And I'm going to design my life that way. And you know what? AI is just like that. And the internet is just like that. Your iPhone is just like that. It can empower you or it can enslave you, and only you get to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me switch gears a minute. And this question actually came up from a couple people who shot me emails after the promo that I sent out. Perry and Scott, I'd love for you to comment on this. So a couple people are asking, like, all right, so great. AI is coming along. What opportunities does it create for somebody who doesn't currently have a position of influence like we do, doesn't have a list, isn't recognized as an industry expert right now, but is just somebody who's starting out, has all the time in the world, and has a bunch of energy, is hardworking. What do you see as opportunities for somebody who may be looking to start something new in the age of AI?
Well, I think one opportunity is to go to people who do have bodies of work and help them turn those into a moat. Because 98% of the baby boomers or the Gen Xers or the college professors or whoever, they don't know how to do this. And I think there's a whole new industry. So 25 years ago, there was this new thing called a webmaster. Woo, it's just like a wizard.
Yeah.
Do they have a magic wand? But you got paid crazy amounts of money just for writing HTML. And that's the truth. And there's a whole new set of professions that are emerging now, and they don't even have names.
Yeah.
And, Kyler, my son, has this phrase. It's something like, don't beg for a gig, just show up at the venue. And he's talking about music. He's a bass player. You don't just like call people on the phone, say, hey, you need a bass player. But man, like if you're hanging out at the backstage at Fitzgerald's or, one of the clubs or at Friendly Tap, like some of the places around me, Kyler's never ask anyone for a gig, just be on the scene. Thelonious Monk. Well, Kyler, I was attributing that to you. I guess Thelonious Monk said, like, get on the scene. Like, this is a new scene. Scott, hello. Like, this whole thing we're talking about, Scott sold his company and he goes, I'm going to go hang in that scene over there.
Yeah. Yeah. And and if you're just getting started, my gosh, this is the best opportunity you're ever going to have. Very well, maybe in our lifetimes, because we did get Google and the internet and the iPhone in our lifetimes, but this shadows all of that. So this is going to create paradigm shifts in everything you can possibly think of. We haven't even really talked about the ramifications of what needs to change in order to proliferate AI even further, even more than it is now. And the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, talks about how he thinks this is going to allow us to basically get to zero cost energy, because these chips that run AI require so much energy, and they also require so much water to cool them, that it's now forcing the smartest people in the universe to figure out how to get power cheaper and how to do these things more efficiently without using these resources. So all of these decades of us talking about, fossil fuels versus green fuels. And it was sort of this political conversation or debate. Well, now industry is driving that conversation, and it's saying, hey, listen, we need to start thinking about things on a different level because there's a whole new sheriff in town, and he has different rules. So I think some of that stuff is going to be very, very interesting and exciting. I don't think we are going to recognize the digital landscape by the end of this decade. Like, I think it's going to be so much different. I don't know how much of this we're going to use anymore.
Right.
I don't know, I don't know how we're going to be communicating and getting information, tapping into the world's information. I don't think it's going to be Google searches. It's going to be interesting. So go back to the question. If you're just getting started, like Perry said, I went all in on this, and I don't have any answers. I just have a lot of questions, and every time I ask the question, I get two more. And all I'm doing is inviting all of you to join me and pay attention to the questions that I'm asking until something clicks in your head and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't as mysterious as I thought it was. I get it now. I'm going to run with this, and I'm going to run in that direction. I
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest challenge that people need to do is figure out how to think of this, and then you'll start getting the answers.
The best way to evaluate the opportunity is to go back in history, because if you know anything, history repeats itself. So electricity is discovered, okay, as a thing, and then we figure out how to harness, store it, and transport it. Think about what types of jobs or opportunities that created. Electricians, right? Just like electrician didn't exist as a thing.
Well,
Think about,
inventions that used electricity.
right. Exactly. I'm like, how about the invention of an automobile? What did that? Okay, we can think of car mechanics, car designers, car manufacturers. All right, radios inside of cars, building highways, building highway infrastructure. Like, there is no fear. If anyone tries to market AI to you as a fearful thing, you need to run the opposite direction, because when the internet came along, nobody thought of the fact that there's going to be a thing called Facebook, and running Facebook ads and writing a book about Facebook advertising didn't exist. It just existed in the ether somewhere. There is going to be some new things that are created that you and I cannot even fathom. We are going to look back and go, oh my goodness, could you imagine that there's going to be a job someday that I'm going to be on this giant metal tube that flies 900 miles an hour, and I'm going to be pouring coffee for people in first class, or sitting in that seat driving that tube, or sitting in that giant tube and flying over to London, England in 6.5 hours. Like, humans couldn't fathom that. And here we are again with this amazing innovation. So when we get together for this AI summit in about 6 weeks, don't go there looking for the experts on stage to give you like, okay, here are all the answers. Okay, they're going to share with you where they're at, but just let me give you a little bit of a clue here. We don't know any more than you do. What Scott just said is so critical. Is that Scott is willing to say, and I guarantee you every one of the people that get on stage is willing to say, is we don't know either, but we're willing to go there to take risk and ask questions.
Yeah.
All right. Perry putting on this summit isn't admitting to you that he knows everything about AI. What he knows is that it's the most critical thing we should be thinking about in terms of marketing. Now, there's implications across the world, but our zone right now is marketing. So we're going to be focusing on that itself, but we're also going to be talking about some of the bigger things here. I think the other thing to notice, Perry, is half of the promotion you've done has nothing to do with technology. You were talking about creativity, humanity, and things like that, which is unusual, because shouldn't you be promising us that we're going to walk out of there with 1,100 prompts that we could use in ChatGPT when we go home?
If you want to make me ill, I guess we could do that. I mean, It seems like that's what most people are doing. I just think that's completely wrong. It's
Yeah.
gonna be, I know it, like in my bones, that's gonna be obsolete in about 2 months, like whatever that level of education. I already went through this with Google Ads. In fact, I'm gonna show you something. This is the 2007 Ultimate Guide to Google AdWords. It is, so how old is that? It's 17 years old.
Mhm.
If this is the only book that you had on Google Ads, you wouldn't do too bad right now. At least 50% of this book is pure gold, maybe 60. And it wouldn't be too hard to figure out which parts are still good and which parts. So like, there's not, if you look at the book, there are some screenshots and like all that stuff is completely changed. But there's other parts, like we would put these things in called Uncle Claude Says, and Uncle Claude was Claude Hopkins from 1918, who wrote Scientific Advertising. All of that stuff is still good. And when I was in that phase, and I was keenly aware, there is stuff that changes all the time, and there's stuff that never changes. And I'm going to spend as much of my time teaching the stuff that never changes so that you're grounded, because there is going to be a flim flam man showing up every single day, dangling cleavage and chocolate bars and cocaine and hookers in front of you, trying to get you off track and lighten your wallet. And I've got to immunize you against that. And there was so much crap when the Google AdWords frenzy was going on in 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the thing was just exploding. There was so much hype and garbage and nonsense, and people would learn stuff that was only going to be good for 3 months. Some of them would make like $70,000 a month for 4 months. And then they, like, I had a guy, he was making $1.6 million a year. He came to one of my meetings and he was like, what's the matter with like all these people? Why can't they just get their crap together and make money like I did? 2 years later, his Google account was banned. Everything he had created was burned to the ground. And he was scrapping around, like looking for, hey, do you know anybody that, needs a tech guy? And he got reamed. And my job is to keep that from happening to people. When you come to my events and you go to my trainings, most of what you learn is still going to be serving you in 10 years. And I don't know anybody else that can say that. Not in this bleeding edge stuff. And it's just so many people get taken advantage of. It's just scary.
Yeah.
One of the huge advantages of getting together with people, we would love to see you at the conference. The people, many of the people that are on this call know what we're talking about. If you're new, there is a high caliber of people there. When we get together, it is like a family reunion, and I kid you not. It's often the time where we finally get to see each other after a year. These are like family reunions. That doesn't happen by accident. There's very few organizations or companies that create a following where people are genuinely excited to see about each other. Okay. Scott and I know each other because of a live event. I held a Facebook conference that Scott showed up at. Scott became a business partner and now is one of my best friends. Mark Ingalls is somebody I didn't know. I met at a Planet Perry event, is one of my best friends. Noah's on this call. Noah showed up at that conference and is one of my best friends. You will meet people at these events that become your best friends and become your business partners. So 80% of it, maybe 90% of it, Perry, is just showing up. because something happens when you show up energetically.
Yes.
Scott, maybe you talk about that a little bit.
Oh man. This is one of the most magical things about all of Perry's events is, and I think so many people in Perry's audience knows this. If Perry says I'm doing something, people just say I'm there. We don't even really need to know what it's going to be. I've been to a couple of events that well, the influential writing retreat was the most impactful. It's like it literally it changed it evolves. It has these events have a life of their own. This thing isn't scripted out. There isn't a strict agenda that everybody is going to do. Like this is I would call this more of a gathering of the minds of the like-minded. And we're all just having this. Yes, there's a lot of high level intellectual conceptual conversation, but we also are all practitioners and we have the ability to bring it down and, hey, I need to introduce you to that guy over there because we know that guy has very similar challenges to yours. Yeah, this Perry's events, you don't show up, sit in the chair for 3 days and then go home. It is an experience. Like it is an interactive experience that it always so far exceeds my expectations. Anytime I've ever gone to any one of Perry's events, that's why I'm here today, right? It's like it's that kind of thing. It's like if you think you know what this seminar is going to be, you don't, but you do want to be there.
Let me talk to somebody that hasn't been at an event before. This is not a good old boy and good old girls club, meaning you are not going to feel like an outsider.
No.
Here is a little secret about Planet Perry that you will learn is not a secret once you get to know us. It's all introverts. Like Lori Hollers, you're the only extrovert on this call right now, and she's probably laughing. Lori's the one who will get to know everybody in the room, but most of the people are introverts. So a lot of the people are going to walk into the room, they're going to sit at that table, and they're going to look at their shoes. Okay, that's a Planet Perry guy. Am I right, Perry?
Yeah.
All right. All right. But here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to look up and to look to your right and to look to your left and just gently introduce yourself. And I promise you, if that person sitting next to you is a longtime Planet Perry member or not, they are going to talk to you, and they are just as scared to have a conversation with you as you are with them. Guaranteed.
And you can their shoes while they look at your shoes.
Right? There you go. There you go. So my advice is wear really interesting shoes so that you can have something to talk about.
I'm going to put a Post-it on my toe that says, say hi.
or just hi. That because
maybe just hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I say this in jest, but this is real. Like, there's a lot of deep thinkers in Planet Perry. There's a lot of engineers. There's a lot of people that are they closet philosophers or are they just out in the open philosophers, Perry? I don't know. But there's definitely
they're introverted philosophers. If you can get them talking, they'll go.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but a lot of them are married, so they also have had some common sense beaten into them, which the average philosopher in ancient times was like a single guy who pontificated about stuff that his wife would have bashed him over the head and said, that's stupid. So there's also like this temperance, like I don't know how many stupidity spasms Laura has talked me out of.
Yeah. And here's another thing that I wanted to give people, and this is going to be applicable whether you come to this event or not, is when you go to a conference like this or you show up on a call, have a little bit of a plan. And what I like to say is like, what is one big question that you want to get answered? And maybe it's a question you've been wrestling with for a while, but writing it down in your journal and saying, hey, like, if I start to get some answers to this question, you may not get the complete picture, but what you want to strive for is to start working towards what is that question about? Maybe you refine the question, maybe you get an answer to that question. That's one thing to do. The other thing would be to challenge yourself to say, I want to meet a person who, and specify like, who do you want to meet? if you are the guy we talked about or the woman we talked about who is looking for a new opportunity, it might be, I'm looking for somebody that needs what I can do or needs my work ethic, because there's a lot of people there that are shopping for people. There are people that are shopping for people, either a specific expert or a person to help them out. So you can say in advance, hey, I am going to find somebody that is this, or this. That is a great way to approach that event. And so it keeps you focused. But we got about 10 minutes left. Harry, I would like to hear from you. Who's one of the speakers that's coming, other than Scott and I, we'll leave you out, we'll let you off the hook here, that you're most excited to hear from because you really don't know what they're going to bring?
That's a great question. One of the speakers that I'm excited about is Megan Macedo. And she is not in any way, shape, or form an AI expert. But I talk to her every month. I went to one of her retreats 5 years ago. And, you know, she's one of my students who became the Brene Brown of marketing. And I wanted to weave her into the program because, so you know how anytime people are talking about AI or blogging about AI or writing articles about AI, they're always creating these mid-journey, futuristic, you know, kind of steampunky looking
Yeah.
images.
Yeah.
It's almost like the world has split and it has gone schizophrenic. And it's like AI is going to be like the ultimate utopia, and we're going to upload ourselves into the cloud, and we're going to be steampunk machines, and we're going to live forever, right? And then there's this other. It's like the Terminator bullets are going to come and kill us, and they're going to read our minds, and it's going to be the ultimate dystopia, and we're going to be crawling around on piles of rubbish, and it's going to be like the worst part of the Matrix. It's not going to be either of those things. 50 years from now, you know what people are going to be doing every night? They're going to be sitting down at wooden tables. They're going to eat food with forks and spoons, and they're going to drink tea, coffee, water, bourbon, wine. And when you drive from Chicago, Nebraska, it's still going to be Interstate 80. Hello. And if you don't know your own story, you're going to get lost. You're going to lose yourself, because the world is designed for you to get absorbed into the Borg and just be one of those embryos in the Matrix that feeds it. Like, that movie is one of the greatest movies ever. And I do not want that to happen. So I want two things to happen. I want people to be solidly in touch with their humanity, and B, have a realistic understanding of what they can do today, tomorrow, the next day, and next year in a way that does not go out of date in the next 10 years. And if you have your humanity in one hand and you have the right principles in the other hand, you're going to figure this out. And you are going to consistently dodge bullets that take out other people.
Awesome. Scott, what's give us an insight. What's one thing that you're working on in the realm of AI that is exciting you or freaking you out right now?
Oh, geez. Exciting me or freaking me out. Well, the most exciting thing for me is I never know how a project is going to turn out. I only have an idea of how I want to start it. And almost every single time it gives me a new perspective or a different angle on it. It makes me think about my problem differently than I was going into it. If anything, it helps me to ask better questions. The other thing that I'm super excited about is how quickly this stuff is evolving for people like me to have access to it. It's evolving very, very quickly, and it's very, very user friendly. The platforms are very user friendly, but I think conceptually people are still having challenges understanding how to do it. Um, some of the stuff that I think I'm most excited about is the voice interaction. That was just rolled out on the web version of ChatGPT last week. So now you can interact, or it'll read to you on your phone. You can interact with it. So it's really starting to, like, all of the science fiction stuff that we saw when we were kids, like it's evolving so quickly now. Like the advancement of these robots that have these AI sort of algorithms in them. They're getting better and better. And gosh, I mean, I'm excited about the whole thing. Like every single day every single day feels like Christmas. It's evolving so quickly. And I guess there is one thing that I'm really excited about is it's open to the public. Like that's the thing that I'm most excited about is they release this technology into the wild so we can all have this conversation. It's not, it's not hidden behind an academic wall somewhere. It's out there for all of us to be able to have conversations about it. And you're not putting this, you're not, you're not putting this genie back in the bottle. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What excites me, I use ChatGPT to help plan my trip. I mean, I was actually using it to develop an itinerary. It intelligently put me in different sections of London and Paris, so that it was reasonable for walking. It told me what transportation to take. And it wasn't one prompt. I had to do a bunch of prompting to kind of get it right. And what was cool about it is I had an interaction with it, like I was talking to an expert travel guide, and just kind of use that to build this really cool itinerary. And it kind of blew my wife away that like it was so organized, and put that together. Really excited about that. The other thing I'm really excited about is I've been playing around, and I know Scott, you've done this too, which is I'm creating a GPT that knows all about me. So I've been using this, and some people that have gone through our strategic story experience, I think Samuel maybe even comment on it now, but uploading things like personality tests, strengths finder, values, writing examples. I'm doing a lot with that. I'm doing a lot of journaling. And when I journal, I speak it into my phone and get that up there. And I use it as a way to process my thoughts, like, and then I use it to ask questions to help me clarify what I've been thinking about for months. And it's amazing how quickly I can disseminate thoughts and ideas and then move forward quicker. So I'm excited about that, just in the terms of like helping me just move things forward and make things quick. The other cool thing was you can use ChatGPT on your phone to take a picture of a Latin inscription on a tomb and get that instant English translation. Like I thought that was cool. Or take a picture of a painting and go, what is this? Tell me about it. And then it rips it up. Like it knows what the picture is, and then it tells me all about it. I took pictures of gravestones, and like I love the idea that we can use technology to supplement the human experience. And what I see is that it's this amazing creativity booster. We kind of were talking about that beforehand in a negative way, but it really just accelerates so much. And so to me, that's exciting. Like I'm looking forward to the AI companion where I could be communicating with it on a real-time basis, and getting really good feedback. And I think it's going to enhance my life. So I'm excited about it. Perry, final thoughts. We're at the top of the hour. Obviously, we want to see you at the event. How do we sign up for the event, and anything we should know about that?
I'd like to tell you about what we're doing. I am bringing the smartest people in the world on this topic that I know, and I am turning them loose. Last year, I did something similar. Of course, it was 11 months earlier, and it was stellar. Everyone blew the ball out of the park. And so you're going to meet people that you've never heard of, like Josh Palacier, for example. I think people are going to be blown away by what he shows. And you want to be in the room with these people. You also get AI Hyperdrive, which is Sam Wood's extraordinary course. You get that when you sign up. And it's $19.99 when you register right now. And we have a really special thing we put together. We have a track for ages 13 to 25. And if you want to bring your kids age 13 to 25, it's only $500, and you can bring spouses, employees, and partners for $1,000. Bring them all. We'll have a special breakout just for younger entrepreneurs. Kyler is going to be doing a talk at that. We're going to have some other speakers as well. And you can go to perrymarshall.com/AI seminar. You can get the special today price of $19.99. And I really want you to be decisive and do this. We have payment plans available. The price keeps going up. And so I don't want you to miss out on the discount. And if you register today, you get 30 minutes with Scott, who you've just heard from. And I've had all of my roundtable members working with Scott to streamline what they're doing. And, one of them's got 30 years of work running on a chat bot now. And the guy only met Scott a month ago. So if you go to perrymarshall.com/AI seminar, you can get in on that. So Bob and Scott, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can't wait to be there. Obviously, I'm looking forward to speaking. That I love doing that because I love helping people think and help to transform their lives. But I'm really looking forward to connecting with folks, finding new folks, and hearing from the wisdom in the room. I learn just as much sitting in the audience as I do standing on stage, obviously. And I'll just say this: if you haven't been to an event and this is your first event, my promise to you is, if you find me, I will greet you and I will introduce you to somebody interesting, if not 2 or 3 people that you just tell me who you want to know and I will introduce you. If you don't know who to meet, I will introduce you to 2 or 3 people you should meet. I promise to do that for you. Scott, I'm sure you would do the same for any folks. Just find us. We'll be your friends in the room, and we'll make sure you get plugged in. It's a tremendous community. You are going to be challenged. You are going to have to think. That's the only thing. You're going to have to take time out of your schedule. You're going to invest some money, but you are going to go there, and it's going to be a very amazing transformational experience. And don't trust us on it. Test us on it.
Yes.
Literally, don't
Yeah.
trust us. Test us. I fully trust that you're going to have it, but this is very much, you need to test us at our word. You don't need to trust us at our word.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is, if you haven't been to a Planet Perry event, it's a very generous community. It's not a sales environment. It's an educational environment. Like, you're going to go there and you're going to learn and you're going to grow. You're not going to feel like you're being pressured to buy a bunch of widgets that's going to make you an AI master. This is going to put you so far ahead of the game. I haven't seen, I've been on that. I've been every single day in this for the last year, and nobody's talking about AI the way that we're talking about it right now.
Bob and Scott, you guys hit the ball out of the park today. This was so fun. And it just tells us, it just indicates how much more fun it's going to be in person. So
Yep.
get registered, get on board. It's easy to get to. You can fly to Chicago Midway or O'Hare Airport. Chicago is one of the easiest cities to get to in the world from anywhere in the world. And we're going to have so much fun. So we'll see you guys in Chicago. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bob.
Everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Bye.